Ric Bucher, who's on Fox Sports 1. And, of course, you can see him on Undisputed all week at RIC, Ric Bucher. Bucher, let's talk about the Nets. It does feel like we do this thing with the NBA where the games kind of go on in perpetuity. Feels like it's never stopped since last year in the playoffs anyway. But the teams we like, we pick out their good moments and go, they're awesome. The teams we don't like, we only wait till their bad moments and go, they're a disaster. The Nets are winning and KD's not even playing. And like, is it perfect? No, but are they figuring out and probably going to accumulate some more defensive assets? I think the answer is yes. Yeah. Like, where are you on the Nets? One, in our coverage, and two, how they're actually playing.
I expected that they were going to be really good offensively. I said from the very beginning, I wasn't concerned that during the regular season that they weren't going to be able to just steamroll teams. And that has indeed been the case. James Harden has surprised me in how well he has embraced being the playmaker and the efficiency with which he has found his shot and distributed. I think he's showing a talent that I'm not sure that we've seen before to this level. So that has been impressive. They have found a small ball game with Jeff Green as the 5 that has worked for them. My question is, how much of an aberration is this season where defense has been generally deplorable and we are going into the All-Star break and it hasn't improved appreciably? Understood it wasn't going to be good coming in with a shortened off season and little training camp, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of practice going on or focus on that end. And so how important is it? Generally, it is very important once you get to the playoffs. And I still, looking at, for example, the last couple minutes against the Clippers, yes, are James Harden and Kyrie Irving trying to play defense? Sure. Are they good defensive players? No, not against the best of the best. The Clippers could get anything that they wanted, and that was with Paul George sitting the last 3 minutes. So I still feel as if there are issues when we talk about the Nets. Can they win a championship? Can they get to the NBA Finals? There's still some elements for me that they have to prove that they're capable of that have traditionally been part of winning games in the final few minutes, and they haven't convinced me that defensively they're capable of that. Can they steamroll teams and not make it a last possession game most of regular season games? Yes, that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have done for the last couple of years. But if we get to those other kind of games, can they, offensively, okay, they'll probably get those buckets, but can they get stops? And I still need to see it because I'm not convinced of it yet.
What are the Lakers going to do here? Because LeBron's played a lot of minutes, and I know they're not practicing, so it's not like he's practicing him. He's playing a lot of minutes, and you don't have Schroeder. You're not going to have Anthony Davis for a while. They're not going to be very competitive without him. Right. And he seems dead set on playing, probably to get – he wants to win MVP, got to play to get MVP, but also he wants to keep pushing towards Wilt Chamberlain's mark. Not Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's mark. But like at some point, don't they got to shut him down or give him some rest? Like none of this actually matters.
Look, it's certainly his – I'm not – I can't say what it feels like to be 36 years old and playing in the NBA at this point and with this style. But he's playing minutes, but I don't see him playing hard minutes. He's not getting stuck in defensively. He's giving very little or expending very little energy at that end of the floor. He's shooting far more threes than he has, and he's been doing it efficiently. I don't see, for all the minutes that he's playing, I see, and what I see is that chasing Kareem and scoring points and trying to do it as efficiently and with as little energy expended as possible seems to be the thing that he's doing the most right now. When it comes to MVP, I thought that this would be a great opportunity with AD out in particular for him to stake his claim when it comes to that. you can't just put up numbers. They have to be numbers that win games. And we haven't seen that to this point. So I think when it all is said and done, my question is, where is his focus going to be? Is it going to be on, you know what, I'm going to try to gather as many points as I can, and if we win or lose, I'm not worried about that because there is no home court advantage? Or is it going to be, I really have to be cautious, as you're suggesting, and just not even attempt to focus on anything other than making sure that I'm ready to go and we are ready to go at the end of the season? And I don't know how he's going to, which direction he's going to go and how he's going to determine that. But that is something that I will watch. The minutes themselves, though, are not what concern me. How hard is he going to play? And if he's going to try to make up for AD's absence, then he's going to have to commit more to the defensive end because that's where they miss AD the most.
Ric Bucher joining us from Fox Sports 1, covering all things sports, especially the NBA. Okay, so what about the Clippers? Like, I didn't like the call last night. Like,
no, it's a ridiculous call. I mean, it to me is that and the minutes restriction on Paul George are what is wrong with the NBA right now. And it's one of the reasons why it's just become a three-point shooting, drive to the hoop, kick it, or throw a lob. The game has become so predictable and vanilla in that everybody's playing the same way. And I had Toronto Raptors coach Nick Nurse on my podcast the other day, and I was coming up with a very revolutionary idea. Like, we need to get rid of the three-point line so that we get back to teams actually running plays and running sets and doing something other than just coming down and jacking it from the three-point line, or driving to the hoop and then kicking it and jacking it from the three-point line. And he said, you know what, if you allowed the physicality of the game, if you allowed that back into the game, that would solve a lot of problems. Teams would have to run sets in order to create open shots. Right now you don't. You just put the ball in your best ball handler shooter's hands, and he's either going to draw a foul, or he's going to get a clean look at a three, or he's going to get inside and then kick it for a clean look at a three. And I think he has a point. To me, that is what has to happen for the game to improve at this point, or to change dramatically. Because I just
to take the 3-point line away. That's what has to happen.
No. Simply allow. I was suggesting that. Nick is saying just allow physicality, where in no way, no how, in no circumstance would James Harden defending Kawhi Leonard on that drive be viewed as a foul. It wouldn't even be a consideration. Right now, and I haven't seen the L2M, but I'm not even sure that the league went back and looked at it and said that was an inappropriate call. Based on how they are instructing, and I don't blame the referee on this, it's how they are instructing the game to be officiated. And to me, it has bastardized it to the point where it's just not as entertaining as it once was.
Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. That's the voice of Ric Bucher. I don't know if it's not as entertaining. Again, this is kind of goes back to I think what happens is, and forgive me because you're different. You've covered the NBA. I think there's been lots of unentertaining midweek regular season basketball for a long time. Do I think it's strictly about the three-point shot? I don't. I think it's a confluence of, one, some of these teams, just got done playing before they started the season, so they weren't. And the idea was, we're only doing this thing for the money, so everybody's kind of gotten in line with that. But then I also think that you have the narrative about too many games, because they're all making guaranteed money. You have players that they're not laying it all out. They're not playing every night, because it's become kind of an acceptable practice to miss games, right? Whereas, and look, we had some of it before. You go back to the 80s and 90s in a midweek game, like sometimes dudes wouldn't play all that hard the entire game. But now when you have a guaranteed contract for a bunch of money, like if I mail this one in, like who's going to know? Or how big a deal is it actually going to be? Like, I think that plays a part to it, not just the three-point shooting.
Yeah, but the issue is the players aren't driving this. The teams are. the league is the whole load management aspect of this, where it's no longer a point of pride to play every game. And look, this is a 72-game season. I mean, it is 10 less than we normally have. And I'd push back on you. Look, yeah, there have always been terrible games, and now that we get to see all of them, we're more conscious of the games that are run-of-the-mill. But I think in general, the quality of the games, the style that is being played is glorified AAU basketball, run up and down and shoot it, and it's not attractive basketball. And I believe that the league has, if not endorsed it, certainly encouraged it by the way the game is being officiated and the way that teams have been, allowed to develop this. We're going to put players. We're going to wrap them in bubble wrap, and we're going to be very cautious with them physically, and we're not going to allow any physicality in the game, and we're going to be careful with emotions. And it's just, look, you got the Clippers and the Nets, and there's less than 3 minutes left in the game, and it's a possession-by-possession game, and Paul George is pulled out of the game for Lou Williams because he hit some arbitrary minute limit. What are we doing? Like, what does that say about the integrity of the game and the emphasis on what winning and losing means? I mean, it really suggests, winning the game is really secondary to just making sure our guy is healthy and he suits up for 32 minutes a night, which is why, so we sell tickets, so we can, to me, there's some things that have been introduced to the game at this point, as someone who's followed the NBA for a long, long time and loves it and loves what it is and loves the game, that I look at it and go, you're messing with the integrity of the game. And I've never seen it as bad as it is right now. That it may just be the circumstance of the pandemic and no fans and shortened off season and the switch and skip, all of that may be contributing. But I need to see or hear that the league shares the same concern that I do, that the product itself is not anything close to what it once was.
That's Ric Bucher. Check him out on Undisputed all week at Ric with a C, R-I-C, Bucher, B-U-C-H-E-R, if you want to get in touch with him or follow him on social media. Ric, great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us.